Today we're going to be talking about Hurricane Ian, currently a Category 2 hurricane heading right towards the western coast of Florida. Hurricane force winds can be expected in this warning area as soon as Wednesday morning as this intensifying storm barrels its way northward across the Gulf. Hello everybody, Raider Ryan here, giving you guys an update on Hurricane Ian, which is continuing to strengthen rapidly over the northwestern Caribbean Sea. You can see it's actually approaching Cuba here, especially in areas like Havana. It's continuing to pick up the strength and just barreling towards this whole warning area. Now, the latest report from the Air Force Hurricane Hunters found a 700 millibar flight level winds of 90 miles per hour. And what it seems like here, some of the data that we've gathered, it appears that the inner core appears to be more organized, while the eye wall structure is also improved in some of the radar imagery here, especially from the Cayman Islands. You can even see here in the infrared satellite imagery here, you can see that it's really beginning to get more organized and more of that well-defined eye wall you can see right here. So definitely something to watch out for. Not only this, but atmospheric and oceanic conditions remain very favorable as well for additional intensification during the next 24 hours or so. So this is as Ian moves over the very warm waters of the Gulf. You can see here in this sea temperature map here, you can see that the Gulf, where it's going to be crossing, as well as the northwestern Caribbean, really all in this purple shaded area, which actually equates to 30 to 35 degrees Celsius or 86 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So very, very warm temperatures here, which is really what fuels these hurricanes that we see and can lead to rapid intensification. You see here as it does make its way northward across the Gulf, that as far as wind shear values go, the shear remains quite low, which of course only adds on to these favorable conditions that are really in store for Ian to gain even more strength as it does barrel its way towards the western coast of Florida, which is what the current consensus actually suggests. Now, the National Hurricane Center intensity forecast does call for Ian to become a major hurricane before it actually reaches western Cuba early Tuesday. It is then forecast to reach its peak intensity over the southeastern Gulf of Mexico in roughly 36 hours. But after this, southwesterly shear relating to a really deep trough, as you can see here beginning to form, that's really beginning to take shape over the eastern U.S. It's actually forecast to significantly increase over and have a big influence on this hurricane, say Wednesday through Thursday, which is really expected to disrupt the vertical structure we have going on and bring in some of that drier air into the circulation. We can also see this very clearly on the precipitable water values we have set up here. As we fast forward the runs a little bit, we can see some of this drier air begin to take shape as it just crosses over Cuba. But really just a result of this trough you see here. And as it begins to make landfall here, you can see some of this more moist air beginning to filter into the Gulf once again. But of course, Ian has already gained so much strength that these less favorable conditions aren't really going to do much, since Ian is still forecast to remain at or near major hurricane strength as it does pass over the west central coast of Florida, as we're seeing right here. Still definitely at a major category, major hurricane strength, meaning Category 3 plus, which could still be a Category 4 strength as well. But just tracking Ian right now, we can see that it has made more of an expected turn north, towards the northwest, as it really just hits the western end of Cuba here, like I said, near Havana. And it's really expected to do this, just move northwestern trend here over the next day or so, as it is steered by more of a mid-level ridge that's just to the east, really pushing it along this direction, and of course sparing portions of southern Florida. We can see, as you fast forward a little bit more, we can see that it does begin to take a turn to the northeast with more of a decrease in as far as speed goes, as far as directional, or as far as forward speed. So it's going to be moving much slower at this rate, but it's still definitely heading towards Florida. This is actually going to take place on between Wednesday and Thursday, as the center of Ian moves near the western coast of Florida. So you see it's not moving as northwest as it once was, so it's not heading towards the Alabama coast of Mississippi, or even towards Texas. It's beginning to take more of an northeastern turn here, which is really which is why we're anticipating it to impact more of a northwestern coast of Florida here. Of course, this does not include the Panhandle, as some of the other models suggest, such as the CMC. This intensity forecast does agree more with the latest IVCN and HCCA forecasts. But as we go back to just tracking where this thing is right now, let's just rewind a bit. Still heading towards Cuba. But we can definitely see that this slower forward motion is likely to prolong the storm surge, wind, and rainfall impacts, especially along the western coast of Florida here. Even northeastern Florida, as it's going to be a subtropical system, as a low pressure just moves over this area and dumps tons of rainfall. You can see here even getting past well over 10 inches of rain in some areas, especially some of the flash flooding in some localized areas. The latest track guidance has come into better agreement on this scenario, although it has been noted that small little tweaks to the current track that really runs parallel to the western shore of Florida here, more so southern western coast of Florida, could have some hints of the impacts of this at some of these particular locations, especially along western Florida. But you can see even over the past couple hours now, it has just been adjusted slightly eastward at 48 to 72 hours. We can see that it does follow the latest trends in the global model guidance, and it resides near, but just west, a little bit west of the multi-model consensus forecasts. And based on this latest forecast timing of expected impacts, hurricane and storm surge warnings have already been issued along the coast of western Florida, as seen here, especially where it's expected to make landfall most. But as you see here, once it does actually make landfall, the most likely scenario will definitely be in this area right here, along the western coast of Florida, but more so northward, right as it's entering the Panhandle. So around this whole area is where the cone of uncertainty begins to lie. But once it does make landfall in this area, we can see that it does, the center of low pressure actually does continue to go northward, possibly into Georgia, with a lot of this rainfall still lingering, especially more eastward. But we can see as it does begin to move much more inland. This is actually the Euro model. We could see here, even if we change it to the GFS, likely the same scenario here. We can see if we fast forward, this jet stream does continue to take shape and create more of a trough here along the eastern portion of the U.S. and bring in some more of this wind shear. It's likely going to definitely dissipate it a lot more and weaken it. It does also push it much more eastward. You can see here the low pressure is right here around. It's just north of Florida, and then once this trough begins to take shape, it runs along the jet stream. We can see it does get pushed out to sea. But of course, it's going to be going along the Carolinas and bring a lot of this rainfall here. See here, this is the total accumulated precipitation likely amount. Also, the Euro model, we can see here that we do see some of these rain totals linger around here, especially portions of southeastern Georgia, as well as portions of eastern South Carolina along the shore here. Places like Savannah, Charleston, even Myrtle Beach can see some of this rainfall associated with at this point would be subtropical Ian. We can see here this is definitely a most likely scenario as it does begin to make landfall here, and once it does move up the coast, it'll likely move right out to sea here along the Carolinas. And of course, we aren't very certain on this whatsoever because this is all the way out on October 4th, but this does appear to be the most likely scenario. Anyway, guys, that's about it for this update of Hurricane Ian. I'm going to try definitely posting more on some of my social media accounts. Of course, this also includes Instagram, Twitter, not just YouTube. YouTube, I make more in-depth videos, whereas I do more frequent updates on some of those other social media pages, which the links will be in the description. But anyway, guys, I hope you did enjoy this update. If you do enjoy a lot of these updates I make, please consider subscribing to the channel. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys in the next one.